Good evening, students. Day after tomorrow at this time you will be in the middle of an exam for which most of you have prepared very hard throughout the year, and this short notice analysis, this short notice video for your exam, we decided to post just now, not because we wanted you to check your results or get worried about anything, but because we wanted to give you important learnings from the A-Lit paper. We wanted you to go over this analysis, since all of you have very meticulously attempted this A-Lit paper, and see where all you made errors and how you can avoid those errors on Sunday, and therefore do a better job of the CLAT paper than you did of the A-Lit paper. Now, a detailed analysis of this paper is also available in a document form. Please go over it properly if you are seriously looking at answers and their explanation and reasons. And this video lecture is just a short analysis of the whole sections of all the papers and giving you important points, 2 note points that you can make use of in your learnings from the A-Lit paper. Now, the A-Lit paper did bring a surprise in legal and GK sections, and not a pleasant surprise, so as to say, and proved to be, a chamber of horrors for those, even those who were prepared. Forget about those who prepared for a short period just after their boards and gave the paper. General knowledge was not really general knowledge but specific knowledge. Even in the legal section, legal GK was very, very specific knowledge, and to be very honest, even people teaching you GK and legal had to actually look up the answers, and give you a clear answer on that. So I think those points would stand nullified for everyone. So the other questions which were doable and for a large portion of the candidates, so those questions will become very significant here. Now, if you have made errors in the doable section, maybe they will cost you. So rather than grumbling about questions that get nullified because not everyone is expected to know them, in fact I'd be surprised if 1 or 2 of them students did get those answers also, must be by fluke, then the doable parts become very, very critical, and solving them well becomes very critical for your overall score. So this is one of the things that you should keep in mind when you are doing CLAT. If CLAT also decides to spring a surprise, on you, and decides to give you unknown GK or very, very arcane sort of legal GK or something, which you have to Google and research for hours, then those questions become less critical in your overall score. Then your attempt should be on the other parts which are doable, and you should try to do them properly and should try to get them correct. English and reasoning sections, at least the English section was doable. The thing in the English section was that most parts were easy to handle. You probably even did them well. There were certain parts, if you gave it a minute in understanding, you could have done them well. And there were certain other parts that looked easy, but maybe you have made errors there because they tested you in the most basic usage. And whenever the test is in the most basic usage, where you think, where every word is very common and commonly used, then it becomes a difficult thing to solve. So when I am saying this, I am particularly referring to questions 45 to questions 25 to 35, which were the closure part in the paper, and most of the words there, most of you are using regularly, solving it regularly, and in using it in your day-to-day life, have heard it being used. Now, in there to decide which is the perfect word, which is the most appropriate word for the blank, sometimes gets a little difficult. So I think, or I am assuming, most of you may have had to think twice before marking an answer there. So that part now, again, as I said, looks easy, but doing it properly becomes very, very critical, because if you made mistakes in those kind of questions, then your overall score gets doubly affected. So that was for the English section. Questions, if you follow the questions on the screen to my left, you will see, if I very quickly go over the questions. Now in 1 to 5 rather, you have to pay attention to antonym and synonym. Some students have come up and told me that they messed up there. It's only after the question paper was released they realized they didn't read antonym over there. So these things will not be very acceptable while you are solving your CLAT paper. So please take care and read the whole question and look at the word clearly. Is it antonym or synonym? And I think the general tendency is you see the word highlighted and you assume you are being asked the meaning. So I think those errors are blunders. And the thing about blunders is that the meaning of blunder is it's an error in the most basic part, but the cost of that error is very high. So 1 to 4 questions and even 5, you have to be careful about antonym and synonym there. And it was quite doable. At least 3, 4 of them should have been easily. You could have done them easily. Then the parts which most people were flapping about was question 6 to 7 and 8 and 9. Now suddenly you have practiced matching column 1 with column 2. Now you have got something else inserted in between, and this insertion in between comes with a set of very vague directions. You are just asked to match something with something, and how you are expected to match it is not very clear. So I think here this is what I had meant. If you had spent a calm, collected, sort of pragmatic minute on this and just tried to work around with the options, you would have seen it's not as if you are supposed to attach the two, because you can't attach the two parts 1 and 2 using the third part which is on top. But I think you have to use 1 and 2 as basis and pick out the option given there in Roman numerals and see which option this meaning is coming out in the sentences. So for example, if I look at question number 6 and I see that the first sentence in column 1, I took my raincoat and umbrella. Why did I take my raincoat and umbrella? Naturally, after observing the weather. So seeing that this meaning is emerging from from sentence 1, matching it with the weather. So seeing that is the meaning which is emerging, right? Similarly, if I look at the other portions here, the team is likely to do well, the building work is still on schedule. So here what emerges is the meaning of even though, seeing that with, all this should emerge from the two sentences. The team is likely to do this season, and if I match it with part B which says because Davies is the captain, which is in sentence A, the meaning which comes out is with Davies at the helm of affairs. So with fits these two sentences. So it wasn't as if you have to physically join them, wouldn't be possible because they're using the words because, they're using the word despite. So there is no place for these conjunctions. But I think the conjunction meaning had to emerge from joining the two sentences, which when I was solving the paper, as I took this as a test, which when I was solving the paper did take about 40 seconds to 1 minute, and I had to try it on 2 questions, and then it was eureka. That eureka moment was there, and then when you go further down, questions 8 and 9 were doable. So if a new type of a question emerges, it is worth its while to spend a cool 40 seconds to a minute on figuring out what has to be done. How are you going to figure it out? By looking at the options, naturally. So the options give you a big hint as to what is required, and then when you see those options in 2 questions, you know that this is what they are looking at roughly, and that's your best shot. So take your best shot at it. Now once you know this, that you just have to look at the meaning of the conjunction coming out of it, then it becomes a cakewalk. Now questions 6 to 9 become a cakewalk, and whoever has spent that cool minute on it would be reaping the fruit of this question. So these questions again, prima facie they look very weird and you don't know what to do, but then you've been trained to do this. Think on your feet right at the day of the exam, and thinking on your feet is also a test which is being taken. An aptitude test tests you in such moments. So question 6, 7, 8 and 9, now all you had to do was look for that one meaning which you are sure of. For example, in question number 7, there is due to. So due to goes well with number 3, right? However, if you look at sentence 1, you have decided not to go on a holiday this year. This decision has been made. Now the decision's fallout has to be discussed. Right, this decision has to lead us somewhere. So in order to becomes a very apparent meaning that emerges from 1. So we match 1, Roman numeral 2 and look for the options, and we match 3, Roman numeral 1 and then look for the options. Keep 1 or 2 specific ones in place, go down to the options, see if you have to check others. If you don't have to check others, those are your answers. And 8 and 9 are much simpler that way because there is a very clear-cut word given, while 6 and 7 give you vague words like in order to, in order that. 8 and 9 give you specific words like flashback and telling off, and those meanings are very apparent here. So these meanings had to emerge in combining column 1 with column 2. You did not have to physically join them, right? So this is this question. Learning is spend a cool minute and then work on the entire set. Questions 10 to 12 were also an innovation this year, where odd sentence out had to be chosen based on grammar and usage. While question 10 is suspect, I have written so in the written analysis as well, because question 10 you really cannot figure out an odd usage. B and D go together, though they have given D as an answer, but D is similar to B, where both adjective and noun change to verb and adverb. But A and C are two different, so either A or C could be the answer. So 10 is suspect, but it gets better with question number 11 onward, where in question number 11 in question number 11 a conjunction is added, right? So conjunction is added in all. In A and is added, in B that is added, in C otherwise is added, in D not only but also is added. However, the correct answer over here is B, because while in A, C and D the subject is intact, it remains the same, in B a new subject is also added. Now your counter argument could be, ma'am, in such a short span of time how are we supposed to think so much? But it is visible. It's not as if I put in some rocket theory into it, it's visible. When I see conjunctions, I see conjunctions are in place. Then what else could be different? So the next obvious thing is the subject, So subject is similar in all, that's the difference. So it is all your observation skills at work over here. So 11 again then is simple, 12th is the simplest, direct and indirect speech, again it's visible. So that's the odd one out over there. 13 and 14, now repeatedly such questions have been there in your mocks and grammar. Basics of verb usage, subject-verb agreement, and those are being tested in all the questions here, whether it's 13, 14 or the questions that follow. 4 more questions where you have to mark the correct sentences. So again a detailed analysis of that is given, but this is very simple grammar usage. For example, in 13th after ban you have to again continue with the verb. So this I think I've told all of you, at least in the long term batches, no fewer than 4 to 5 times, that when I'm using a conjunction, after the conjunction I have to check for a parallel structure, and there are 2 questions on this, not just 13, even later on there is one question following it. Basic idiom usage follows in the next set of questions, and you have to mark your answers based on that idiom usage. All these questions seem to be correct. Some people had a doubt with to give one's ears, probably from Mark Antony's speech, lend me your ears. So give one's ears is a sacrifice based on an old tradition of cutting off your ears if you were not consenting to something. While to listen carefully is to give ears, so one or your gets removed. So I agree, this is a typical one. Most of you are likely to mark listen carefully, and that's the first option, but the answer remains the same as they have given in the paper. To give one's ears is sacrifice, and to be all ears, to give ear, these mean to listen carefully, right? So you could dig up more on ears and work on it. You'll be surprised to see how much your ears can, what all your ears can do, but never mind. Then we come to questions 18 to 20. This was a different parajumble, and the idea, this is not the first time it has been asked, is in law papers, yes, but CAT has given such questions over the years. They have discontinued regular parajumble questions, and you have to talk about formation of sentences. And again, this has, I think it has been borrowed from CAT, because they have been asking such questions. Now in this parajumble, I would agree that it was not that easy, because while you have the basic arrangement of O, M, L, P together and K and N is together, the fight is between putting K and N in the beginning or K and N in the end. So whenever you have this arrangement problem, you have your pairs, you have your sets of sentences together. Now putting them first or last, most of you have been troubled with this over the year while you were preparing, and I have continued to insist on the fact that there is no generic rule for this. You have to look for individual pairs then. Is PK a pair or is NO a pair? This is what you have to see. So here K and N are separate, O, M, L, P is separate. Now between the two, the position, of course, from what we see as the right answers is that K and N should be in the end, because they start to talk about the modern civilization and K and N is a fallout of it. Now as a result of this modern civilization, the subjugation or enslavement of the people and countries is becoming a thing of the past. So K and N come right in the end. Hence, once you have the formation as O, M, L, P, K, N, you get all your answers in place, which you can check from the detailed analysis document that we have furnished with this video. And but yes, I agree, there is a genuine error here if you have put it in the beginning. It is not very easy to decide on that in that moment whether KN would be in the beginning or in the end. It took me also a while to put it in the beginning or in the end, so it could be a genuine error, and there is no clear cut arrangement there. So now what to do, the reason here I have given you, which is after the attempting the paper, but during the paper, now if you see that such a problem is arising, in that case you have to tell yourself that these marks are suspect. So that means these 3 questions could go wrong. So that means I have to look for other 3 questions to do in their place to continue to maintain my overall score. So this sort of calculation has to go constantly in your head, and this is the whole essence of aptitude testing. Pressure situation, time is not constrained, and I have to make decisions. So this is what is actually being tested. So if you are in this situation, what you do is you tell yourself, this looks difficult, now I have to do something else. Then, as I was telling you, the next set of grammar error detection questions were using very, very basic concepts again. Here again, there was a new sort of a question where they used each, every, and, So there was an each, and, every, and that again, at least when I was solving it, it sort of, I just smiled. I said, okay, that's a good one. So with each and every, so there was each boy and every girl, and compounds the 2 subjects. As a result, most of you would believe that it should be a plural verb. However, please remember, with each, every, the verb has to be singular, whether compounded or not. So that is a new learning which I am giving you just now. So please remember, it has to be singular. So with each, every, many, verb is always singular, even when they are compounded with and or other such conjunctions. So if you go over the document, you will see that a detailed analysis of every error and all has been given. So I recommend that you go over the document carefully. And the last part is 25 to 35, about which I was telling you a while ago. All these words are very simple words. The words we use every day, but therein lies the trick. Because they are so simple, they are misused and abused every day, and when you are faced with a situation of filling them in for an exam, then you are again fumbling. Will this go, will that go? So I maintain that you must stick to the basics. And what do the basics tell you? Everyday usage aside, wherever formally you have read those words, stick to them. For example, if I were to take you through the first blank itself. So the provisions do not, that's question number 25. And my first instance when I looked at the verbs was to see is there an upon, right? So is there an upon or not? Because the word that fits in perfectly is impose, because we are talking about an obligation, right? An obligation naturally is weighed down heavily, while it's not forced, or the forced and compulsion are out, so B and C are out. Impose is the obligation part and impress is the other verb, but impress is always used with meaning and impose is always used with obligation or a duty which is put down heavily on you. So I saw an upon a little later and I was like, yes, it has to be imposed. So what was I looking for over here? I was looking for something to validate my answer. And what was validating my answer? The preposition was validating my answer. So that's your first go-to thing, preposition. Look at the preposition, that will help you eliminate all the options and then get you to an answer. Impose and impress are different words. One's used for meaning. Impress upon someone means try to make the meaning clearer, and here obligation is the other go-to word. So obligation would again be impose. So just stick to the basics, preposition, look at the following noun which will help you understand what verb fits in the best. Right? Let me just check if there is anything else that I want to discuss here. Let me see quickly. Then yes, there was a layoff question which I wanted to discuss. So difference between layoff and this is question number 29. Difference between laid off and dismissed. Right. So termination, these are not locusts or parasites, that you can put a spray on and terminate. We are talking about workers over here. So termination is not, and generally the contract or a physical thing is terminated, not people. So again, in common language you use the word terminated. This is what I am impressing upon you. There you go, impressing upon you time and again that do not look at colloquial language, that will put you in trouble here. And laid off is for people who are on regular roles, while here we are talking about workers, daily wage earners, which those who do not have a fixed contract. So layoff again is not very good here. So when I saw layoff, even I paused for a minute, went back, and now that I'm choosing, now I'm making a decision here. Layoff will not go because these are not people on permanent contracts and and working in the upper echelons of the system. These are daily wage workers. So their services are usually dispensed with, and dispensed with gives us the best answer as dismissed. Right? So this kind of quick thinking, a little quick thinking has to be done, and AILET always compels you to think a little before you answer. But trust me, all of you have been equipped to think like this. We have done lots of revision sheets. I remember the last sheet that we did in the closure test, where again there were very close words and the whole class had all 4 options between themselves. So remember, that's how you are choosing wisely. So the last closure test again had easy words, is seemingly easy, and why it is easy for those who are not prepared. But those of you who are prepared and who know the value of usage of individual words, you are expected to think and spend some more time and then mark your answer. Similarly, if we come to 35 was simple. 34, let's have a look at 34. What does 34 say? A dash was reached according to which the sports direct is now required at the time of advertising. Right? So naturally was reached is both parties participated. It cannot be a decision, right? And there is a dispute before it, so it has to be settlement. So I'm just saying this type of little thinking between words. Since both parties were involved and a decision is not like reach, it's not both party participation. So therefore you get your answer as settlement. So these questions ideally for all those who are very serious about your exam should not be wrong, and these quick decisions have to be made on the spot again. So this analysis is not focusing on what has been done by you, That's over. This analysis focusing on what you are going to do on Sunday. There is very little for me to tell you in logical reasoning. However, I want to spend time on one or two questions. Again, we have practiced enough sheets for parallel reasoning, and I think 100 classes on, I'm exaggerating, but yes, on only if and if translation. So the very first question that you see in the critical reasoning section is only if and if translation, right? And this begins from question number 136. So if we go to question number 136, which you can follow on the screen. However, I would recommend that you go over each question and each answer, and there will be a learning in all of those. The document which is attached and which was there on your account on MyZone, please go over all those questions because they have been prepared meticulously to help you on Sunday with your exam. So it's a if plus only if combination. So if you look at the first line, senators who are not firmly committed to a core set of beliefs will formulate this thing. So if a senator is not firmly committed to a core of beliefs, will formulate new rules. And the second sentence is only if new rules are formulated, that guy would be elected. So if P then Q, only if P then Q. So this is how if P then Q, only if Q then R. This is the formation, and the conclusion has been drawn on senators who are not firmly committed to a core. That means if P then S. So it is if P then Q, only if Q then S, therefore if P then S. This is a fault because it has to be if P then Q, if Q then S. But it's a mixture of if plus only if, right? And the conclusion is if again. So this had to be replicated in your options. So if you look at question number A, it is only if usage which has been faltered, right? And then if you come down to wherever if and only if usage is not there, you remove those, and wherever it is there, it has to just be a if only if formation or a muddled up if only formation coming to a conclusion, right? So this is what we have to replicate in question number 136. Then 137, there is a paradox. In a paradox, you have to give a new premise which will resolve the paradox. So it's not something that you have not done before, and the moment you read, the very first option does that for you. So it resolves the paradox. 138, we have to weaken. What do we have to weaken? That we have to weaken the argument about, in ecologists endorsing the resumption of leopard hunting would stop doing it. Then if they apply it to humans, we have to say no, those who are endorsing leopard hunting would continue to say yes, we should hunt leopards, and we have to give a reason why so that means leopards should be posing a danger to someone for them to be hunted. So that's what you have to look for. So I have constantly maintain this fact that make an answer in your head, focus on the conclusion and the conclusion alone, make an answer in your head, use that answer to look for the best one in the options. So in this question number 138, my answer would be no, those who are endorsing leopard hunting are right in doing so, something to that effect, and you come to your answer, right? So very obvious answer again, very obvious explanation which is given in D. Similarly in 139 is again weaken. We have to give a reason as to why we believe, we have to give a reason again, how it is possible that the last manuscript and the new manuscript appear in 1825. So again that is weaken question. And lastly you have 140, where again you have to look for the assumption. Assumption means missing premise. So any alien civilization that makes it to our planet, this is the conclusion, must have acquired the wisdom to control war, or it would have destroyed itself long before contacting us. This is why he's saying aliens will not attack us. This is why aliens will not attack us. Why? Because they must have acquired the wisdom to control war. That means those who control war do not attack others. Use the new keywords of the conclusion. The new keyword is control war, and attach it to the premise. So the premise is those who believe aliens will attack us, this is baseless, So premises, aliens will not attack us. Why? Because they have learned to control war. That means those who can control war will not attack us. That's your answer straight there. So these 5 I think were easy and doable questions. So whatever problem you have in the AR section, in sets and all, could have been compensated by doing these 5 questions. So in CLAT again, if you are stuck in a set, I have written it on the blog, I have said it in the classrooms, move on. Don't remain stuck. It will not help you. Keep looking for other things that you can do. Go back to that set where you were stuck. So if you are stuck, move on. Solve CR questions. Should not take you more than a minute because you are reading quickly and options given are very simple and you can easily look at them. So this was not the most difficult CR AILET has given. It has given certain difficult questions earlier, so this was doable. So always keep your options open. Don't stick to one question and keep at it even though you're not able to solve it. Move on and look for other questions to do. Time management was a major problem in this AILET. Even the veterans in testing, you know, that veterans, I mean those who have taken so many tests the whole year round, sort of grappled with time management. So the time management, the basic is move on. That's your time management last line and final line before I sign off. You will be going through other sections also on this short video, and again they will focus on the learnings. So you also must focus on the learnings and do go over the detailed analysis to help you understand the nuances which you may have missed in this paper, which will be learnings for your next paper. All the best and do very well in your exam. And if there is any doubt or clarification with respect to the AILET paper, please feel free to write to us at help@clatpossible.com. Thank you.